Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome to the Super Bowl Showdown on DraftKings. We are going to take a look at who I think the best plays are on DraftKings for the Super Bowl Showdown this week between the Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to take a look at the Fantasy Labs lineup builder and what you can do over there. We're going to build a pick'em card over on Underdog Fantasy, just like we've done all season. I appreciate you guys being here. I really hope that you've enjoyed all the in-season content. I have a ton of off-season content planned as well, both on this channel and on the fantasy football channel. So I'm going to scratch that football itch all off-season long. But let's get to the Super Bowl. Thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. Leave me a reply down below with which team you think is going to win. And let's go.
He's a legend.
Let's start over at Underdog Fantasy. They have these great pick'em cards, no matter, most states have them, some don't. Hopefully yours does. And we're going to fill out a card here. We can pick up to 5 different plays. We can insure it if we want. We have one very big game to pick from. I think that we're going to see, we just bet overs all year long, so we're going to keep doing that. So let's go over 78.5 receiving yards. This is a lot. 292 yards. I mean, I know that he normally gets you 300 yards. 314 total yards. I kind of like that better. I'm going to say over. Ooh, the rushing yards is interesting, though. That ankle, though. Oh, my God. I'm going higher. Higher than 39 pass attempts. I think Philly's going to win this game, so I think they're going to play from ahead. Meaning that I think we're going to see a lot from one Jalen Hurts. Give me higher than 297 total yards. I really like DeVonta Smith in this game, higher than 5 receptions, and let's go higher than 9.5 rushing yards. We'll play this for $50. You want the insurance? You can. You don't have to. If you are new to Underdog Fantasy, you get up to $100 first deposit bonus if you use that promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE. You get that. You can use it as a free bet, or they're already running best ball games for the 2023 NFL season, so you can get on those way too early things. If you want $50 to win $1,000 from me, there's the card. I wish you the best of luck with all of the props. We're going to have a props video out later this week, so be on the lookout for that. Going over to DraftKings, they have the $6 million. This is going to be split. You're going to hold hands with somebody. We know. It's too many entries. 470,000. Unless you get so super duper freaky with your entry that you get so off the reservation and those off the reservation things happen. Don't think we're going to see a solo bink here, but we're still going to try and do the things that we can do to try and not hold hands with 1,000 people as we cross the finish line. Let's start with the 2 quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, most likely guy based on every projection to be the optimal captain on this slate. And if you're playing smaller field stuff, if you're playing a 10 or a 20 man game with your friends, it's going to come down to one of these 2 quarterbacks in the captain spot. Jalen Hurts, obviously a rushing and a passing threat. We've seen him post monstrous days, averaging just under 26 DraftKings points per game on the season. San Francisco, a much tougher defense. They played the Giants 3 times this year. So like divisional opponents the 2nd time, and the 3rd time if you face off against them in the playoffs, much tougher. 2 tough defenses, much tougher than the defense that Kansas City is going to throw on. 30 points is very likely for this Philadelphia Eagles team to post during this game. We've seen what he can do with his legs. All bets are off. They are not going to be saving him. They're not protecting him. They're not doing any of that stuff. He is going to throw the ball everywhere. They have 2 weeks to plan. The narrative, of a quarterback like Jalen Hurts being impossible to stop, having 2 weeks to plan an offense, them having all the weapons that they have around him, like AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith, who has been a beast since Goddard went out, and Goddard being back, and the fact that this running game, though they can vulture touchdowns from time to time, Jalen Hurts vultures more. So he is your most likely captain, Patrick Mahomes. The second most likely captain, also narrative driven, having 2 weeks to recover from that high ankle sprain. The possibility, the Andy Reid with an extra week to prepare narrative, and his record off of bye weeks and what he's done, and the history of what Mahomes has done. We could have the 2 best offensive teams in one Super Bowl ever. I'm hoping, my hope, I want a close game. I said already that I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I think that they're better at every position with the exception of quarterback, obviously tight end, but like tight end is close enough. Like Goddard is nowhere near what Kelsey is, but he brings enough to the table. Wide receiver, the Eagles are better. Cornerback, they're better. O-line, D-line, everywhere else, the Eagles are just better, except quarterback. But it's not like Hurts is just some guy. He's a ridiculous quarterback too. But Patrick Mahomes can carry a team. Even in the Super Bowl where they played against the Buccaneers and he was running for his life. This offensive line much better than that offensive line was that year for Kansas City. He's going to be under a little bit of duress, but like he can make massive things happening regardless of what defense. They have not faced a defense that is anywhere close to this since that game against Denver, and Denver not as tough a defense this season as the Eagles were. 328 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game. Never bet against Mahomes, posting big numbers. Now, putting them in the captain spot is going to be very cost prohibitive with 16-8 and 16-5. I do think that you can get there. One, if I'm going to play Mahomes or Hurts in the captain spot, we're going to be tying pass catchers to them, because if they have a big day, it is likely that they drag somebody along with them. Even in the games where Hurts has thrown for a lot of yards but not had a lot of touchdown passes on those days, I'm thinking specifically, which is the game he ran for a bunch of touchdowns, 3 of them in this game. So anybody said, well, what if Hurts runs in all the touchdowns? Ran for 61, 17 times, 3 touchdowns this game. Still threw for 315, and 2 of his wide receivers were viable, with Devonta Smith having a big day against Chicago and A.J. Brown also having like 170 yards receiving that day as well. Same thing goes for Patrick Mahomes. You're putting him in the captain spot. You're pairing him with at least 1, probably 2 of his pass catchers, whether it's going to be Travis Kelce, who is the lock, right? Travis Kelce in playoff games has been a monster. 78 yards, 98 yards, 14 catches, 20 points, 35 points. You want to focus on ceilings and you want to focus on separators when we get to kind of the one-off plays, the low percentage plays, and everybody else. Those are the plays that we want to capitalize on ceiling. We want floor to ceiling combinations for the other players around them. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling has looked like he looked good the last game after being a track star for most of the season. But even in these games against Denver and against Las Vegas, he ran a bunch of routes, got a bunch of targets, just didn't materialize in such a way that would make a big dent in the fantasy score. And even in this game against Jacksonville, where he scored the touchdown, only 1 catch on 2 targets in that game. He is coming off of this monster game against Cincinnati, and I can guarantee you that there's going to be a lot of percentage on him and not on somebody like Juju Smith-Schuster, who seems to be, injured still, dealing with it. Monitor all of the injuries on the Chiefs side as this week goes along, because they missed practice last week, but last week less telling than this week in terms of what they do. But like coming off the beginning of the season, where all the first 2 months he was basically a lock to get you like 8 targets a game. The last 5 weeks, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 targets. Guys like KADARIUS TONEY have seen an increase in their usage, even though he is dealing as well with an injury. It has not materialized, but he has taken over that Mecole Hardman usage around the goal line with, he ran a bunch of routes in this game against Jacksonville, the most routes that he had run for the entire season. We also have somebody else who ran a bunch of routes for this team. Where'd he go? Where's his price? $2,000 in the flex for Justin Watson. Not getting a lot of catches, 1 catch in each of the 3 games, but he's at least out there, has an ADOT of 18.5. And this is that big play, 1 splash type of guy that we are looking for in Showdown, that can separate for you, because every single point matters in a game like this. And he is going to be a sub 20% guy, so you can add him to that list. Now, how are we going to build at these positions if we're only going to build through the quarterback? I don't think that you have to only build through the quarterback at captain. I think that there are definitely routes for Travis Kelce to be your captain, but he does not allow you an awful lot of salary relief off of the 2 quarterbacks. You're going to have a similar roster build. I think having both quarterbacks is going to be very chalky, whether one of them in the captain or both of them in the flex. You can see what it leaves you with. You can get there by coming down here to get somebody, whether it's going to be a kicker like Elliott or Butker, whether you're going to go with somebody like Noah Gray at like 1,200. Noah Gray has at least 1 catch in like every in the last 5 games. He's running 15 or more routes in 8 of his last 10 games. He is on the field and in the route. We can at least say that for him. We also know that the Chiefs get extremely cute around the goal line. And the cuter they get around the goal line, now you open up situations where if Noah Gray catches a touchdown. He has 2 on the year. Now all of a sudden you have that separator you need at a cheap price, allowing you 5,300 still to go. You can still get a kicker, a defense. Sky Moore, I think, ran the most routes that he had run. You can go get a KADARIUS Toney in this spot. If you want to gamble on Gainwell, like, you're going to like 3-4 spots, but DraftKings has put us in a position where it is more difficult to get to the quarterback or Kelsey in captain, which leaves me to one of a few guys. 1, AJ Brown is your contrarian captain. He has not busted a grape this postseason. We know that essentially DeVonta Smith has at least earned as many targets and target percentage as AJ Brown has over, the last 2 months. He had 10 targets in that game against the Giants. 50 yards this postseason and 1 touchdown in his last 6 games for AJ Brown. But the narrative, 2 weeks to prepare. We've seen multiple game-breaking games from him. 30 points against Chicago, 34 against Tennessee, 42 against Pittsburgh, 28 against Detroit. We know that there are situations, specifically in games, where teams push the Philadelphia Eagles. There are definitely A.J. Brown games, which gives you at least a little bit of savings here. $3,000 from Hurts down to A.J. Brown, which makes that middle part of your roster. And if I'm going to have A.J. Brown at captain, thinking that he's going to have a 30-point day, Jalen Hurts will also have more than a viable day to be in that lineup as well. So I will tie him to him as well. DeVonta Smith is the other that I think is a very viable captain in this spot to get off of the chalkier options at quarterback. 12-9 for him at the captain spot. We've seen very big games from him and consistently high floor, high ceiling type games. We know that there's a 30-point ceiling from him. He is a fantastic weapon around the goal line and in the end zone. High points, so many balls, very talented wide receiver. And as I mentioned before, has earned his way into a really high target market share. If you're telling me that A.J. Brown is on one side of the field and there is another wide receiver on the other side who has earned a similar market share to A.J. Brown over the last 8 weeks, that wide receiver has to be super talented, and I'm really happy that DeVonta Smith has started to flex that. This could be absolutely his coming out party, as everybody expects Jalen Hurts to be the MVP. Everybody expects Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce to be the MVP. And if they're picking a wide receiver, A.J. Brown would be that guy as well. But ending up with DeVonta Smith allows you to force him and still have 4,300 left for these last 2 spots. So you can get to those guys if you want on Philly. On the other side of the ball, I do feel that Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to be overplayed at captain and is probably a little bit thin. I think Pacheco is very dependent on a specific type of game flow. We have seen nice games from Pacheco. I love the fact that we got 6 targets and 5 catches from him against Cincinnati, but we have not seen a ceiling from him, no matter how good he looks and how much he pops on video. With his high leg churn and how hard he looks like he's working at all times, we have not seen a ceiling game from him. And so I probably would prefer, if I was going to gamble on a low percentage captain, going for somebody like JERICK McKinnon over Isaiah Pacheco for game theory reasons. Not because I think he is a better play, not because I think that he is definitely going to outsnap Isaiah Pacheco or get more touches than Isaiah Pacheco, but we're gambling on 1% outcomes when we're taking these non-chalk captains. The 3 chalk captains that I mentioned, the 2 quarterbacks and Travis Kelce, AJ Brown behind them. I kind of like DeVonta Smith. If you wanted to go with Goddard, he's kind of fine too, but you're very touchdown reliant when you go with him. We know that he has ceiling game possibilities in them. We saw one against Houston, but this ain't Houston. So I feel like it's going to come from the outside wide receivers, and then it comes down to the dart throws. The best dart throws on the board. Kenny Gainwell. The last couple of weeks, they have rested. As the second halves got out of control against San Francisco and the New York Giants, they have rested Miles Sanders once they got ahead. I do not see that being a thing that's going to happen unless we have a similar score in this game, which I do not forecast to be the same, 31-7, 38-7, and there is no tomorrow. So this could definitely be a game where if they get up big, 2 touchdowns, 2+ touchdowns, where we're going to get a situation from Kenny Gainwell like we've gotten in the past. I kind of feel like he is tricky and trappy, especially considering the higher price for him. Sky Moore, let me get the exact number for you here on Sky Moore. Season high 26 routes last week, though they were very short, average of 4.2 yards per target for him last week and a half ago. 7 targets against Cincinnati, but very short. He's going to have to break something, be involved around the goal line for him to be that play for you at 3,800 as kind of that dart throw guy. If Juju Smith-Schuster makes it through every practice, I think that he is going to be very viable as a dart throw, as everybody is shying away and looking for other shinier pieces to go with. The defenses are certainly in place, specifically the Eagles defense. Both teams should drop back to pass. Kansas City should drop back to pass more. And the Eagles defense has just been so stellar. 9.4 points on the season. So many sacks, big floor. You know that Mahomes is going to drop back 40 plus times in this game. I feel he's going to drop back 40 plus times in this game. Noah Gray, I have already mentioned. And if we're gambling on big plays, Quez Watkins, not running a ton of routes. He's not on the field a whole lot, but he does have that big play ability along with Watson as well. And my favorite dart throw on the board is Boston Scott, who does have a special place in the coaching staff's heart. He's not going to get you a lot of touches, but the touchdown upside is certainly there with a touchdown in each of the last 3 games for the Philadelphia Eagles. It would not shock me if he found his way into the end zone again in this Super Bowl, though not a captain spot, but to be somebody at 3K to give you a little bit of salary relief and get you to that spot. Let's go over to Fantasy Labs and take a look at what we can do with their lineup builder. Taking a look at the lineup builder over on Fantasy Labs, and if you wanted to check it out, as well as all the great tools and projections that they have on their site, not just for NFL with the Super Bowl ending, but the NBA, college basketball, MLB as that starts up in April, NHL, golf, and everything else, MMA, go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L and check it out. I will have these rules in play, and I'll probably tweak them to try and get myself a little bit different from the field. But if I have a captain quarterback, I will use at least 2 of their wide receiver, tight end, and kicker from the same team. Pair the captain quarterback with at least 1 of the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight ends from the opponent. I want to focus on the skill positions when I have a quarterback at captain. Captain wide receiver, I'm pairing their quarterback with them. Captain tight end, same exact thing. I will limit to at most 1 defense and kicker from the same game. If you wanted to up this to 2, you are more than willing, you are more than able to do that. Play however you like. And then I will build this one custom rule where I say at least 1 player from the running back, wide receiver, and tight end positions where the projected ownership is less than 20%. So I'm forcing at least 1 contrarian play into my lineups so I can get contrarian without being stupid. We'll build 150 lineups optimized by projected points. And I did not click the thing. Apply settings, now generate those 150 lineups. I appreciate you guys being here. It's going to take more than just clicking that generate button with a vanilla set of rules. It's going to take you time to manicure the lineups and combinations and correlations that you want to get for your Super Bowl showdown lineups to get them as good as possible. And do not be afraid to get out of your comfort zone and get a little bit contrarian without being stupid. Thank you guys for being here all season long. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.